Welcome back. You're watching Morning Live. My producer's going a little bit crazy this morning. It's just a couple of minutes after 7:30. Now, for 11 years, Durban-based thespians and theatre lovers have had reason to look forward to the month of January, as it is the time when the much-loved one- and two-handed theatre festival called Musho. Next month, though, there will be no Musho Theatre Festival. This, as a new and FRESHA Theatre Festival, will be taking place between the 20th and the 22nd of January 2017 on Durban's North Beach to replace Musho. It's called FRESHA Theatre Festival, and its organisers describe it as a new, free, fun family al-fresco theatre festival. FRESHA will showcase short dance and theatre productions from noon to 5 p.m. daily for free, while evening shows will be charged on a pay-what-you-can basis. Joining me now from our studio to talk more about this, we're joined by publicist Ella Thompson. Ella, good morning. Thank you very much for joining me. And let's talk about the elephant in the room. What happened to Musho?
Things change, and that's in a way it's really exciting when that happens. And it's really great that being part of the creative industries, we can look to new ideas and new opportunities when they come. And a very sad situation is very often theatres close down, and the Catalina Theatre, which was home for the Musho Festival for 11 years, is no longer, regrettably. And so we needed a new home, we needed a new way of doing things. We live in Durban, we have this beautiful beach. January, we have lots of holiday folk in town. So we thought, why not be really daring and really different and take the theatre to the people, take it out of the theatre venues. We're battling for theatre spaces in January. It's the tail end of our Christmas season. All the big pantos and things are in the obvious theatre venues. So we thought, let's go to the Durban beachfront. It's a place where there are people. Let's look at a different way of theatre, and let's take the theatre to the beach.
Okay, I'm not going to keep on harping on it. I hear what you're saying, but a lot of people who have grown to love Musho, and finally 11 years into it, it's really become established. Why not move Musho to the beach? Because it already has a brand that everybody knows and it's well respected.
I hear you, and I think the concept of doing a 1- and 2-person theatre is a really exciting one. And I think there's always going to be a place for that. And who knows, maybe Musho will reappear in a different way, in a different form. But I think we started Musho 11 years ago, where 1- and 2-hander theatre was something a little bit unusual, and it needed a platform to get established. 11 years later, 1- and 2-hander theatre is very typical. A lot of people are doing it. It doesn't necessarily need its own platform anymore. So, of course, we're open to suggestions of creating another variation of Musho. But what we thought would be really interesting in a multilingual country, in a place where there's lots of outdoor spaces, and a place where we're wanting to take theatre to the people, is looking at different ways of theatre now. So we're looking at physical theatre, at a lot of non-verbal theatre communication, a lot of very visual theatre, street theatre, and that also hasn't got a platform necessarily in Durban to showcase its work. So we're not discarding Musho, and it's not impossible that there might be another version of staging a Musho-type festival. But now for our focus for the next short while is short, snappy, interesting, physical, innovative, comedy, accessible family theatre. We think that's worth focusing on for the next festival, and we're going to see how it works on the beachfront.
So let's talk about FRESHA, because the credibility is in the fact that the originators have had a lot of experience in the theatre industry. It's not a fly-by-night event. And when you talk about innovation, you're then saying that, look, creatively, we can let this cat out of the bag. So whatever is new, fresh, whatever artists that you have not seen before, this is an opportunity to put them in a very professional environment on the beach, utilizing what Durban has given you in abundance.
Absolutely, well summarized, very, very much so. And increasingly over the last few years at Musho, we had fringe work which did talk to physical theatre. We had a wonderful street performer from the Netherlands who gave us curtain raises every evening for the last Musho Festival, and we realized that people really enjoyed that. We have a deaf performer called Sipa Masondu who was part of our Musho Festival last year, and we realized there's not really a place for deaf performers doing physical theatre. So this time we're showcasing very accessible work. So we have a group from Netherlands, because our partner this time round is Twist Theatre Projects, and they have very close associations with Netherlands theatre groups. So we have groups coming out from Netherlands. Also, Twist mentor various community and various informal theatre structures. So we're accessing some of them to do street theatre and performance work. Dung Angwa and Shelby Strange and Duan Charlie are very well-known names in the theatre community in Durban. And they do a lot of installation work, physical theatre work, dance work. We have Road from Johannesburg, from moving into Dance Mapoteng, coming down. So it should be really interesting. We're feeding our inspiration off from the beachfront. We're realizing that wonderful movement, accessible, very visual work would be very interesting to do there, possibly even more so than doing it in a formal theatre structure. And so we're wanting we're wanting it to be short and snappy, 15 minutes or so per performance, so that people in the vicinity can wander by, stop for a while, watch for a bit, move on, carry on with their day if they want to. But also if they want to stay and make a whole day of it, they're very welcome to.
Ilse,
and over the 2 days...
Yeah, that's actually the question I wanted to ask. When you move it from a traditional structure and you move it onto a beachfront and you're utilizing, for a lot of people, a lot of us that have been to Durban know that it's exquisite. It is a gorgeous venue. How do you then use the environment as an aesthetic to make sure that it also plays to the strength of what FRESHA is going to be? Because it's going to change the Durban theatre landscape.
It absolutely is, and we're really excited about the fact that we have that to play around with. And I think having beautiful bodies and fantastic movement and interesting engagement and having street physical comedy theatre happening right there on the beach. We have a marquee on the North Beach lawns for the evening show, for the 5 o'clock sundowner. And also if the weather's a little bit too hot and sunny or rainy, we have an undercover Bedouin tent. But otherwise, we're literally wanting to take it onto the promenade. So we're wanting to engage with the people as they're coming past in a very informal and very different way. And also very often, part of our brief has to be, as theatre makers, to look at creating new audiences for our way forward. For sure. And I think very often if we are in theatres, we're excluding a whole possible generation of theatre supporters because they actually aren't familiar with coming to the theatre. So part of this is also an audience development exercise. It's also about saying, look at this fabulous work which we are creating. If you enjoy it, look out for these names. Come and support us where we are next. Come to the theatres of Durban. But if not, come and find us on the beach and just catch 15 minutes on a beautiful balmy day and watch some beautiful movement and some interesting comedy and see how you feel, see how you respond to that.
I love it. I think it's very, very different, and I think it's going to find a very unique home in our calendar for theatre lovers. Very quickly, talk to me about this pay-as-you-go basis. And you can pay what you can afford. That sets a dangerous precedent for the institutions that's been around forever.
You know, funny enough, Sam, this started off back in the day when we had Dallas on the television. Remember those times ago when I was working at the Playhouse? And we realized Tuesday nights were very quiet because everybody was watching Dallas at home. So we decided we really want an audience. So we just put the donation box on the counter and said, come, pay whatever you can afford. And we encourage people, we tell them what the ticket price is and we encourage them to play accordingly. But if the incentive is to come and not spend a lot of money, then that's absolutely fine. And Durban has had a long history of pay-as-you-go evenings in the theatre. And we've been doing that literally since Dallas was on the television. So the Durban theatre regulars understand that, and the Durban theatre regulars respect that. And a lot of them put in the money which they think they can afford. So if it's a 50 Rand or 100 Rand, that is absolutely wonderful. But if you've got a 10 Rand note and you'd rather watch some theatre than buy an ice cream, we welcome that as well. We don't want to stop people from coming and seeing our work because they don't have money in their pocket. We're on the beach. We don't expect people to have a whole bunch of money, of cash on them. But make a donation. We want people to understand that theatre isn't always for free. Give us some money and we will entertain you. You cannot expect us to do it without payment. So it's that whole sense of transaction which we're wanting to encourage. And the actual denomination is negligible. Yep. Yes, please, give us a whole bunch of money that we can carry on doing great theatre for you in Durban. But if that's not where you're at right now, then give us pay as you can. That's the whole point of it.
it's a two-pronged question. I want you to answer me very, very quickly. Number one, obviously, as the organizational team, have you talked about the potential of this becoming a world event, the fact that you utilizing North Beach in Durban? And number two, has the city of Durban, have you engaged with them to say that, guys, maybe you need to have a chat to us because we have a potential to really put this part of Durban on the map by creating probably, arguably, one of the most unique theatre festivals in the South African space at the moment?
We haven't thought as big as Tomorrow of the World, no. If it goes well, we'd love to roll it out in different spaces, not necessarily on the beach, but wherever there is a public space where there is interface with public that could afford the time to stand and watch us. So let's see how this goes, and then we can look at taking it forward. And of course, we're on Durban beachfront. This would not be possible without engaging, without the support of our City Council. eThekwini Municipality, of course, supports us. They are very, very big on being creative and looking at different ways of using their public spaces. And obviously, there's a whole bunch of rules and regulations and safety and security mechanisms which we need to have in place, which would not be possible without the city's support. We're on a public space. The space is owned by the city. We're working very, very closely with them. As Musho, we have a history of working closely with them anyway, so it's always a pleasure to do that. So let's see how it all works out, and if it works out well, we'll Tomorrow the World. Watch it. We're coming to a beach near you next year, so let's see how we do this for the first time
Awesome.
around.
Ilse, thank you very much for joining us from our Durban studios. That's Ilse Thompson. She is the publicist for the FRESHA Festival. That's also their website handle, by the way. It's www.freshafestival.co.za. It runs from the 20th to the 22nd of January. It replaces the 11-year-old Musho 1 and 2-handed theatre event that you heard has finally, unfortunately, come to an end. We take an ad break today.